I want you to turn to a scripture, pull it up. Some of you are using devices. A remote scripture that you perhaps have never seen. Lamentations chapter 3. Lamentations is right after Jeremiah and right before Ezekiel. It's squeezed in there. It's only about 4 chapters. Lamentations is right after Jeremiah, right before Ezekiel. Both of those are pretty big books in the back of your Old Testament. And what I have for you tonight, the Lord gave me this afternoon what I was going to share with you. And I have a lot of experience. This is my 42nd year in full-time ministry. I know I don't look a day over 40, but I am. These are just highlights. Very expensive highlights. And they get worse with us guys. You girls, y'all can hide stuff longer, you know. And all you young girls, you don't have need of any hair coloring, but you know, your moms do, but some of your moms do, not all of you. But with that experience comes all kinds of learning situations, learning opportunities. And that's what life is. Life is filled with learning opportunities. I adopted this statement years ago. You know, I hate losing. That's not the statement, but I want to introduce the statement. I hate losing. So do you. God hates losing. We're created in the image and likeness of God. God hates losing. God hates losing so much that here he is. He created the Garden of Eden. He put man in there to dress it, keep it, subdue it, have dominion over it, right? Over the whole earth. But man gave it to the devil. God lost. God lost mankind to the devil. Adam was the first god of this world, little G-O-D. And he gave it over to Satan, who's still the little G-O-D of this world. And the New Testament teaches that. God hates that. But what did he do? He devised a plan. It's called redemption. That he loved us, you, so much. Turn to your neighbor and say, he loved you. Turn to your other neighbor and say, he even loved you. You know, God's a faith God. God can love anybody. Don't look around. But God loved even you. No matter what you've done, no matter what you've done in your past, no matter what you've thought, no matter what you've said, no matter the attitude you've carried, no matter where you've been, God is an expert at loving the unlovable and the unlovely. God loves everybody. He doesn't love Satan. He doesn't love those fallen angels and demons. But he loves everybody. We're created in his image, after his likeness. So, have you noticed that babies love everybody? There's no racism with babies. They don't know color. They don't give a rip. There's no injustice with babies. Don't you really enjoy the videos? They're all over the internet of a bunch of babies together. They're giggling and having fun and just laughing over nothing. Nothing. There's no entertainment in the room. There's no video going. There's just nothing. It's just laughing over nothing. Right? That's the image of God. Just think, those little tykes just came out of the womb, just weeks before or a few months before. Not very long. And so they're very accepting. Oh, at first they're shy. And you can scare them, you can intimidate them, but if you love children, they love you back. They love you right back, and they know who loves you, who loves them. That's why, as a Christian education director for many years, that's why I could never put a troubled spirit in the nursery. Because babies will pick up on that troubled spirit. If you see a baby that's troubled, it's because there was a lot of trouble in that mom's life as she was carrying that baby in the womb. She was very close to that mom. And that's why babies are always close to mom, even when they're 40-year-old babies. Because they were in mom's womb. They were never in dad's womb. They never have the same relationship with the dad that they do their mom, because they were close to mom's spirit. And see, babies, they're not picking up on what you say or what you do. They're picking up on your spirit. Do you have a peaceful spirit, or do you have a troubled spirit? So, all of that to say this. We hate to lose. So I adopted this statement: I never lose. I only win or learn.
Wow. Yeah, that's good.
I never lose. Because God made me more than a conqueror. I'm more than a conqueror. Yet, nay, in all these things, you are more than a conqueror. No matter what you face, God made you more than a conqueror. He made you to triumph in Christ Jesus. He made you to win. That's why we hate to lose. Because God made us winners, everybody. You have to acquire a losing attitude. You have to acquire a losing spirit. Let me prove it to you another way. Have you ever heard of Prozac for infants? How about Prozac for elementary age kids? Have you ever heard of that? No. Why? Because they're still so close to the nature of God growing up. They're still in winning mode. We have to learn to acquire oppression, acquire depression. How does it happen? Music.
Yeah, come on.
It happens in middle school, junior high. Negativity. I mean, nobody's depressed, upset, yes, disappointed, yes, but nobody's depressed in elementary school for the most part. Yeah, there's sulking, yeah, there's pity parties. That's just because of flesh, because they didn't get their way. Because they've been babied, they've been pandered after, they've been coddled instead of trained. Don't wait to have a child before you learn about child training.
Yeah.
That's like getting a pet and not knowing anything about how to take care of a pet before you get the pet. Oh my God, they pooped on the carpet! You're going to have a meltdown every time you come home and they've torn something up that was precious to you. Like the corner of the table. Do you know how much that table costs? And they'll go, tail between their legs. That's just your husband. Much less your pet. I'm kidding, but guys, don't give me any grief on that, all right? Some of you guys are still too cool for school. You can't smile yet. Anyway. If you wait to have a child, to learn how to have a child, and to train a child, you're in trouble. You know, they're not going to hand you at the hospital, they're not going to hand you a manual how to raise a child. This is the manual, how to raise a child. And it's important to know that. Why? Because the hospital didn't make your baby. You didn't even make your baby. God made your baby. They're in the image of God, not the image of you. Oh, sure, they may have your DNA and they look a lot like you, but they're still formed to the image of God. And it's necessary that you see how to do it in advance. So let me give you a good tip. Read the book Baby Wise. Now, there's a whole series now, but if you'll read the book Baby Wise, it's written by Christian pediatricians. It's in secular bookstores. It's on Amazon, etc. If you'll read that in advance of having a child, maybe even before you're married, it will really help you. And it's amazing how much advice you get from couples and friends how to train children, and they don't even have any. Not good. That's like your friends that tell you, how to spend your money wisely when they don't. Right? How to pick a good friend when they pick all bad friends. So, have the attitude that God aspires you to have and has created you to have to win. I refuse to lose. I refuse to lose. I either win or learn. Man, that helped me. It helped me when I changed my attitude about that. Because sure, you're going to come on the short end of the stick. You're going to be on the so-called losing end of the scoreboard. But that doesn't make you a loser. See the difference? Now, who's the worst loser of all kind and of all history? Satan. He was in heaven and he chose to rebel against God. How brain dead is that? He was in heaven. How's that working for you, Satan? It's not working good. And the Bible says when we really see him as he really is, we're going to go, that's him? But yet in heaven, he was majestic. The Bible says he was beautiful as Lucifer, extremely talented, flamboyant even. I mean, even to the point of he could gather people to him. Spirits, not people. But he still uses the same tricks. Music. Now, either death and life or the power of the tongue or it's not. I mean, think about it. Rock and roll. What does rock and roll sing about? Sex, drugs, rock and roll, baby. Right? So what do rock and rollers die of? Drugs, sexually transmitted diseases, right? Yeah. Hepatitis from drugs, from needles. Come on. Yeah. That's what they die of. How about country porn? What do they sing about? Getting drunk. Having girlfriends, boyfriends, pickups. Dog in the pickup. What do they die of? Alcoholism usually. Yeah. Or they get shot by the husband of that girl you've been chasing. No kidding. How about rap? Hip hop. What do they sing about? Violence. Yeah. Right? That's what it's about. Violence. What do they die of? Violence. Come on. Yeah. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. Yeah. So stop funding their habit. Yeah. Stop funding that. Why? Because it's going to corrupt you. It's going to pollute you, because that's what you're singing about. That's what you're meditating on. Have you found Lamentations 3:27 yet? Been waiting for you this whole time. Now look at this. It is good for a man to bear the yoke in his youth. What? It is good for mankind, and it's not gender specific here, it's not male, it's mankind. It is good for mankind to bear the yoke in his youth. It is good for you to be under authority, is what it says. Do you have the AMPC there, the Amplified Classic? See what that says. It's going to be a little different, not much. It's good for you to be under the yoke of authority in your life. And notice it says bear the yoke, carry the yoke. Now that's referring to what we see with oxen, with horses, pulling a wagon of some kind or a vehicle of some kind. That's not easy. That's why internship is so vital for you at a younger age. When you're not really sure what your whole fulfilled destiny is going to be, the best way to find your fulfilled destiny is to serve somebody who knows theirs. In other words, the best way to get a vision is to serve someone that has one of their own. And to bear that yoke, to come under that authority. Not just in church. Look at this. It's good for a man that he should bear the yoke of godly discipline in his youth. Thank you for that. Godly discipline. So, a yoke is godly discipline. It's not a harness, that we're going to physically wear. It's godly discipline that we're submitted to. I don't know how many of you were in the service earlier tonight. But I wasn't raised in a Christian home. I wasn't raised in a godly home. Neither one of my parents ever opened the Bible. They each had Bibles. They never opened the Bible, never quoted from the Bible, never prayed with us at night, except the historically lame, stupid, ignoramus so-called prayer, which is not a prayer at all. Now I lay me down to sleep. Now think about praying this with your small child. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. If I should die before I wake, you mean I could die before I go to school tomorrow? Just because I go to sleep? What does it do? It builds fear into your child. The boogeyman going to get you. Especially when they tell, if you don't obey, boogeyman going to get you. In our family, we didn't have boogeymen. We had the Dutch gal. I still don't know what that means. But they said it in such a scary way. The Dutch gal's gonna get you. And what happens is that plays on your ignorance. And the devil uses that, the Dutch gal, and you dream about the Dutch gal. You don't, at the time, you're pre-elementary, preschool, you don't know Dutch, you don't know Netherlands, you don't know the countries of the world, you don't know what that means. You just know that there's Dutch boy paint, and so there's a Dutch gal? It's pretty bizarre. So we were afraid of the Dutch gal all of those early days. And our grandfather and our uncles, they thoroughly enjoyed scaring the urine out of us. No kidding. And you didn't go in our grandfather's bedroom. It was dark at night, and you never go in there. Why? Because the Dutch gal will get you. And what he was trying to do is protect us from the guns he had in there, and the cash, etc. During the day, you got to go in there because it's daylight, and you were putting cans of peaches under the bed or whatever you're buying, or cans of coffee, because they grew up in they were young adults in the Depression era where they ran out of all that stuff. And so we would go in as grandkids and we would get coupons, in other words, coupons from the paper that we would cut out. Because again, we're throwing newspapers and there was always leftover papers, and so we cut out all those coupons, but they would give you like limit 5 on those green beans, or limit 5 on the peaches, or limit 2 on the bags of sugar, or limit 1 on the pounds of coffee. And so each grandkid would get money and a coupon to go into the store. And we'd have an armful, or sometimes they'd have baskets. We'd have an armful of stuff, and we're going to put it under the bed. So, I'm talking about springs like this that I mentioned earlier that we grew up on. So just imagine a double bed. Well, those are single beds. Those are like twin beds. Just imagine a double bed, double wide of that, no king beds back then, of those springs like that. Well, those are collapsible, And so you had slats, wooden slats, about 3 inches wide across the base of your frame. And then you put that on top, and then you put a cotton mattress on top. And so sometimes your slats would get out of line and fall down, and so your springs would fall down. Well, no problem at my grandparents' house, because you had cans of coffee underneath, or cans of peaches underneath, cases of them underneath the bed, so you would never worry about collapsing and falling down. So during the day it was fine, but at night with all the other grandkids, you couldn't go in there and hide. Sometimes I would go hide in there because I wasn't afraid. And so I'd hide behind the door. And all of a sudden, hands would come out of the closet and grab me and scream. It was the Dutch gal. Never saw her, but I think she looked like my granddad. Good thing they had wooden floors and not carpet, because they were always having to clean up urine in the carpet, because they'd scare the pee out of you. Anyway, God never made you to be a loser. We have to acquire that. Little kids, they don't think about losing. They hate losing. And what do they cry if they lose to their older brother and whatever, older sister? They cry, they scream, "You cheated! Because I lost and you cheated!" I still tell my wife that at Scrabble when she beats me. "You cheated!" I'm kidding. Anyway. You can't get the loser mentality. But the way you acquire it is from the controls that the enemy has. Let me quote a verse to you. Ephesians chapter 2. It says that there is a course of verse 2, there is a course of this world according to the prince of the power of the air. There was a course of this world. You once walked according to that course. So he's talking to the church at Ephesus. He's talking to believers. There's a course of the world. Just like God has a plan for your life, the devil has a plan for your life too. And it says that according to the prince of the power of the air. Who is that? That's the devil, Satan. I've added this extra little suburb onto air. He's the prince of the power of the air waves. The devil uses media to train you in his course. That's how he steals and kills and destroys from you. You see, the devil just can't come in and snuff you out anytime he wants. He has to have your cooperation. If the devil could take you out, kill you anytime he wanted, you'd already be killed. It'd already be over. You would have never been able to hear the gospel. He would have taken you out before you heard the gospel. He would have taken you out before you knew anything about the things of God. He would have snuffed you out. But the devil does not have that power because he has no authority. Matthew 28. All authority in heaven and on earth has been given unto me, Jesus said. So that means the devil has no authority. He has ability, but he has no authority. So he has to maneuver, deceive, trick, instigate, derive opportunities, the wiles, the tricks of deceit, the strategies. He has to strategize of ways to corrupt you. He has to strategize for ways to get you to yield your field to him. And whatever you yield your field to will grow a crop in it. I hope you got that. Whatever you yield your field to will grow a crop in it. You yield your field to God, he'll grow a crop in it. You yield your field to the devil, he'll grow a crop in it. And the harvest will not be good from the devil. Why? Because it's a course of this world to steal and kill and destroy from you. That's the devil's only intent. And he is a good devil. He's good at being a devil, is my point. He's not good. He's good at his purpose and his job to steal and kill and destroy from your life. That's taken from John 10:10. Jesus said that. And it doesn't say steal or kill or destroy. It says steal and kill and destroy. He does all three. He doesn't do 1 out of 2, 2 out of 3. The devil's not a 2/3 devil. He's all in. His only job is to steal and kill and destroy from your life, but he has to have your cooperation. So he uses all these things to penetrate your mind, to influence you. He'll start with your family. People that you think love you, but they'll just say this and have this attitude and have this spirit, and they'll come home with this, they'll attack you with this, they'll call you this. And they don't really realize what they're doing. You see, I know what it's like to be beaten with a high-heel shoe or a coat hanger. My brother left home when he was 11 because he was fed up with the abuse. That meant I was 7 and now the man of the house. And every night my mom would get drunk. Different degrees, different levels. On the weekends it was all out, chaos, slobbering, pass out. When we finally got a car, she passed out behind the wheel. No freeways back then. You cross over the yellow line really fast. There's nothing to stop you. My brother and I, many times, I'd be in the back seat. He'd be in no seat belts, no child restraint systems. He'd be in the right side. My mom would be driving. This is a 1954 Chevrolet. The steering wheel's like. The front dashboard was half an acre. It was huge. Just ask your parents. Ask them. It was huge. So you had to be really tall to see over the dashboard. And she'd pass out drunk, high. She'd just slump over. And my brother would pull her, and I would help him from the back seat. I'd be standing on the hump in the back over the bench seat to the front. And I'd help him pull her over to the right floorboard. And then he'd slide over behind the wheel while the car's going 50, 60 miles an hour down the highway. And he would grab the wheel, and he would have to stand up. And I would have to put my knees in his back so he could see. That happened multiple times. And then he left. And my mom would do that. I'd have to try to do it myself. I spent many, many weekends, instead of in my baseball uniform, although it would be included that, it would be Pop Warner football uniform, where she'd be taking me from a Friday night to a Saturday morning, a Friday night party out at the lake somewhere with relatives or friends. And she'd be driving me to the Saturday morning football games, and she'd be still so drunk because she wouldn't sleep all night long. That she'd be swerving and get stopped. I spent many, 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 many Friday nights and Saturday nights and Sunday nights sleeping on a bench at the police station while my mom slept off a DUI. So see, I wasn't raised in a Christian home. I wasn't raised with a silver Christian spoon in my mouth. I was raised in the hood. I left home when I was 12 because I tried to get my mom not to go buy cigarettes because she was so drunk on a school night. In the spring of the year, I begged her, please don't go, Mom. I'll go. Give me the coins. Back then, there were 60 cents a pack. Or are they $6 a pack now? 60 cents a pack, and you could buy them at a vending machine at the service station or convenience store. Kids could buy them. Mom, please don't. I begged her. She took her high heel shoe and she swung it at me across my face with the heel in it. Cut my retina of my left eye. I couldn't see for 3 months. I pushed her in her bedroom. I don't know if you've ever been hit directly in the eye or not, but it is the most painful thing. More than knee injuries, more than broken bones. It's the most painful thing I've ever experienced. More than concussions in football, more than any of that. I pushed her in. We didn't have air conditioning. I'm sweating. It's the spring of the year. It's humid in Dallas. I'm holding the doorknob, hoping she'll just pass out. And she didn't. And drunks have the stamina and the strength because of adrenaline. And she opened the door. And she hit me. And I went into the floor again. She hit me right in that same eye, which was already bleeding. I gathered myself, and she was on her way out the back door through the kitchen, dining room, narrow little space. And I grabbed her around the waist. I'm crying, please, Mama, don't go. Remember, my dad left when I was 4. Now I'm 12. My dad left when I was 4. My brother left when I was 7. She's all I got. My dog died when I was 10. I got nothing. She's dragging me. I wrap my legs around the corner of the dinette set, the table leg. And I know she can't get out now because it would bump against the refrigerator and she can't get out the back door. So she reaches over on the stove and grabs that 10-inch black cast iron skillet that your grandmas cook with. And she beat me over the head until I was senseless. Nashville and Hollywood don't show you that scene. The Bud Light commercials or the Coors Light commercials don't show you that scene. They don't show you the bathrooms at those clubs. They don't show you the piss inches deep in the mixed with vomit at the clubs. They don't show you the fights in the parking lot. They don't show you the beaten and wounded girlfriend because boyfriend thought she was looking at another guy. They don't show you that on the commercials, do they? You see, I lived it. I know what it's really like. That's why I hate sin so much. That's why I love Jesus so much, because he's never, ever disappointed me. That was my last night to live with my mom. I had to go to a neighbor's. This was a quadplex. I had to go to a neighbor to use the phone. We didn't even have a phone. I didn't even know how to use a phone. I'm 12 and I didn't even know how to use a phone. She tried to get a hold of my dad. It took forever. And finally my dad answered, and my brother was living with him, and they came and got me an hour and a half later. And I hated my mom for it. I despised my mom for it. My grandparents tried to get us to go visit her in a state mental institution. Not because she was insane, but because that's the only place she could dry out and let the state pay for it. So when you go visit your mom or a relative at the state mental hospital, they're also in there with all the crazy people that have fried their brains on drugs. So I've been to 6 state hospitals in the state of Texas to visit my mom. That's why I hate the devil. Do you understand what I'm talking about? I hate the devil. That's not my motivation for being in ministry. My motivation is to obey my king.
Amen.
But I know what the real world looks like. And it's not a TV commercial.
Right.
It's not a movie script. It's real heartbreak. It's real devastation. And it causes real scars. But God, who is rich in mercy and tender loving kindness, while we were yet sinners, He died for us. And He gave us victory. That's why I refuse to lose. I just learn, or I win. Are you hearing me? It's good to bear the yoke of discipline when you're young. Exactly 1 year later, that was March of 1968. In April of 1969, a man came to my junior high and my brother's high school, and he talked about something we'd never heard of before. He talked about real life. And we thought we had it bad. And when he told about his childhood, all these tough, badass football players are crying. Because this man was the son of a prostitute, has no idea who his dad is. This man should not even have been birthed, because his mom was too sick to go to the Planned Parenthood abortion clinic the day she was scheduled to abort him. And days later, he was birthed as a preemie. And for the first time in our lives, we heard a man with a deep, bold voice, 6'4", telling us about real life. When all that we'd seen before in ministry was sissies. That's why we didn't want Christianity. All the Christians in our schools were sissies. All the preachers we'd ever seen were compromisers. Wussified. All the preachers' kids we saw were drunks, adulterers, fornicators out in the parking lot of their daddy's churches. We resisted Christianity until that man addressed us in a strong, bold manner. And 3 nights later, we walked the aisle and gave our hearts to Christ. And we've never been the same since. And that man, James Robinson, is still in our lives today. And now He has the ear of the President of the United States. And he has ever since Jimmy Carter. Every president. They don't all listen. But he talks turkey to them. He talks straight to them. If they would all listen, they'd be better men. This is what I want to close with. I want to give you something to write down. I wrote this on the bottom of this paper this afternoon. There are 3 tests in your life as a young person, where you are right now. 3 tests. These are big tests. We've all had tests. School tests, life tests. The greatest test of your life is the test of your character. It's the greatest test of your life. Character's never what you look like, never what you sound like. Character's the real you. Either you have character or you have a lack of it. You don't have 80% character, 20% stupid. Either you have character or you don't have character. There are no degrees of character. Here's the problem with the test of character. Character is not exalted in today's climate. Character is not exalted and promoted in today's schools. It's talent, giftings. It's what's promoted and exalted. And when you don't have the same gifting and talent that somebody else does, you get kicked to the curb. We could have a show of hands here, but I'm not going to have you do that. You know what it's like. All of us do at some point in time. Some people's talent and character and giftings develop later than others. It's obvious in elementary school and preschool. It's obvious, man, they got some talent. They got some ability. Some people, everybody has been given a gifting. Right. All right? But some, it develops and matures later. And so, until yours develops and nobody can see it, you're useless. You're not exalted. Some of us, I was noticing children at my table earlier tonight. There's a lot of beautiful children in this church. Amazing. It's like, what? Give your daddy a stick and teach you how to use that, little girl, because you're going to need to beat some flesh off of you. Going to chase you. But you know what? There's some little girls that are black swans. And they're not beautiful as little girls. I'm talking about naturally speaking. But later, they might be Miss America. You see what I'm saying? My point is, same guys, you might never get chosen in sports. You might be the last one chosen when everybody picks teams. All right, your turn. Oh, that's all we got left is you? I know that feeling. I know that. Why? Because my brother's 4 years older. I didn't have any friends my age in the projects. They were all his age or older. I got picked last every time. I hated getting picked last. Because I knew I was good, because I was good against the age level in my school. I was good. I was better than most. But I go to the neighborhood where, the pressure's on, especially older kids. And you get called names. You get belittled. Right? Until I started developing skill. Again, not born again, not knowing a thing about God. But I hated losing. Why? Because God put that in me. And I was never willing to cash it in. See, a lot of young people, they grow up, they hate losing. But then they lose so much, and they don't use it to springboard to something greater. They just cash it in. Why? Because the music they listen to, the dark books that they read.
Yeah.
I'm not special. I'm not unique. I'm not better. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. Come from the wrong side of the tracks. Come from the wrong family. I got the wrong color skin. I got the wrong color hair. I got this. I wear this glass. I wear glasses like this. I can't see this way. I can't do that. I don't have skills like that. I can't sing. People make fun of me. I'm not tall enough. I'm not short enough. What's the deal? And we develop our self-image from the wrong things instead of the Word of God, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, that God didn't make any mistakes. God made you with greatness. God put seeds of greatness in you the moment you were conceived. As soon as your daddy's seed went into your mama's egg, the Spirit of God, boom.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this. You can Google this. You can find this. You can find a microscopic video of when that sperm goes into that egg and germinates. There's a spark of light. It's not immediate. It's a spark of light. There's a spiritual explosion. What happened? God got on the scene and put greatness in there. And life sparked. Life sparked. And when that life sparks, God puts something supernatural in you, DNA, to win, to overcome, to be a champion. But if all you do is chase the media, chase the world, chase today's educational system, chase today's arts, you're going to lose. You're going to keep losing. And you'll play right into the devil's hands. But if you'll see who you are in Christ, it will build your character. Now let me help you with something. We don't hear growing up much about character. But you'll hear it from coaches. You'll hear it from military people. Yeah, sports builds character, yeah. Sports build character, yeah, sure does. Yeah, soldiers have character, boy. The military will put character in you. Why are there so many jackasses in sports and in the military then?
Yeah.
Why are there so many perverts? Hello? No, that's not character. That's discipline. Big difference. You can have discipline and no character. You can't have character and not discipline. So I gave you that scripture, Lamentations 3:27. It's godly character and discipline that mixes it together. And your greatest and your constant test is character. Character. My Permian coaches used to tell me, yeah, sports will build character in you, George. That's right. Blah, 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 blah. And I kept wondering, well, why do you start this dope smoker? Is sports builds character? Yeah, he's talented, but why are you starting him? He's nothing but a dope smoker. He's a loser. He takes advantages of girls. No, see what happens is they'll build talent. They'll exalt talent. Are you hearing me tonight? That's your first and greatest test. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. You've heard it said probably, but talent may create opportunity for you, but character will build and propel you into greater levels, and you'll stay there. That's what character will do. Here's the second test. Second test is too much information. I'm just going to write info. Too much information. Do you know that information is not always trustworthy? Information is not always trustworthy. We call these smartphones. They are way better than dumb phones. There's more data available in this phone and even resident in this phone. More information, faster processor, way more memory than the computers that they sent man to the moon in 1969. Right here. You can put it in your pocket. Right here. A computer in 1969 was the size of a train boxcar. Imagine that. And then they had to link them all together so it would be a long train to send man to the moon. Building after building after building, not room after room, building after building after building of computers that were tied together. And now we have it right here in our pocket. That's amazing. But you know what? We live in the information age, it's called, and more information is accessible to us right at our hand, right at our fingertips. But yet we have less wisdom in the world. We have more information, but we're starving for wisdom. Did you get that?
Yeah.
Starving for wisdom. I could go into great detail about that. I think I'll pass it by. Let me give you a quick example. One morning I woke up. I typically wake up in the morning. And I'm groggy. My body's still not awake. I need a hot shower for my body to really get awake. I need to stretch a little bit, move around. I need to drink some juice and drink my supplements or my supplement or my juice smoothie, whatever, that's filled with vitamins and stuff, and that really helps me and gives me some energy. But first thing in the morning, I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
I need a seeing eye dog to make it to the bathroom. So I stuck my head out of the bathroom door and told my wife, looked around the corner, she's at her desk in the home office. And I said, honey, I just heard out of my spirit that Carter's going to make a play for... She interrupted me. She said, who's Carter? I said, I don't know. Listen. You women always want to fill in the blanks. And there was no blank available. Carter will make a play for Melinda within 3 weeks. She said again, who's Carter? I said, I don't know, but Melinda will know. I'm awake enough now to understand that you're asking me something I don't know. And you don't know that I don't know it. But God knows. So I said, next time you talk to her, they usually talk, several times a week. Our daughter is now 40-something years old. Can't tell you how old she is. But then, that was probably 8 years ago, she was 35, maybe 36. So that tells you how old she is. Please don't tell her I told you she's that old. Although she has 2 sons in the military, so that kind of tells you how old she is. Anyway, but she's beautiful. You can see a picture of her. You would never know it. She's just gorgeous. She looks just like my wife, thank God, not like me. And I go back in the bathroom, shave my other side, and I'm wiping off all the excess lather with the water. Much louder than that. It's a door, a very loud wooden door. Startled me. Thank God I didn't have a razor in my hand. I said, what is it? She said, Melinda just called. And I told her what the Spirit of God told you. I said, what'd she say? Oh, Dad, no way. He's married, I'm married. He knows better than that. I said, okay. So I prayed. I said, Lord, I just thank you protect Melinda, whatever it calls. Who's Carter? And she said, that's her boss. Multi-million-dollar company. He's the CEO. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Melinda. She's crying. I said, honey, what are you doing? I'd actually forgotten. Not because whatever, but because I prayed, I gave it to the Lord. I'm not going to worry about it. She said, Dad, we're in Houston. We're at this posh hotel. It's only 50 rooms in the Galleria section of Houston. It's on Westheimer. It's really nice. I went to school at University of Houston, played football there, so I know all the area really well. It's one of those hotels that doesn't have a sign out on the street because it's so exclusive. It just has a sign on the building, small, just about this tall, you know. Has a restaurant in it, really nice. For smaller corporations, they go in there and they have meeting rooms and all kinds of stuff. They can lodge there and have their meetings there. She said, Dad, last night we were coming in from dinner. We're about to leave now. She was at the airport when she called me. We're about to leave now. And we were at dinner last night. We all came back. There's 17 of them. That was another reason she didn't think it was even a possibility. There's no way this guy would try anything with everybody. She said, Dad, all the women were upstairs. The men were downstairs. And I'd said goodnight to all my friends. And I'm at the end of the hall, and I know nobody else is lodged near me. And she said, I'm walking at the end of the hall, and I could hear footsteps behind me, and I turn around. Guess who it is? Carter. And she gets her key card out. Much like this one. And she fumbles around, she drops it. She finally opens it. He pushes her from behind with the door open, slams the door behind him, and he grabs her and embraces her and tries starting to kiss her. He said, I know you've wanted me from the day you came to work here. I've wanted you. You're so beautiful. You're blah, 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 blah. Nobody will know what we're doing. And she did not have time for a prayer meeting. So what did she do? Punched him in the nose! Because I didn't just teach her to pray. I taught her to hit right in the nose. And I said, there's no man, if you hit a direct hit in the nose, that can keep coming, because he will be a crybaby really soon. He won't be able to see you for the tears. And you're going to blacken both eyes when you punch him in the nose. And he came after her again. She said, you come a step closer, I'm going to scream while I kick you in the balls. That's the second place I taught her to kick. He backed out of the room because he knew she meant it. The next day, he comes to the airport with 2 black eyes. But not only that, she called her friend that hired her, who was an executive vice president of the corporation, that night, crying. She said, Susan, I need you to come to my room immediately. She said, why? What's wrong? She's crying. She said, I have to tell you what just happened. She said, I'm already dressed for bed. She said, that's okay. Just come in your robe. She came to her room. She told her the whole story. She said, thank God this happened. What? No. I'm sorry that it happened to you, but thank God this happened. It's happened before, but you're the only one that's told anybody about it. And tomorrow we'll have a meeting already at breakfast, and all of the board will be there. And they fired his butt that next morning. In 3 months, guess who became the CEO of the corporation? Melinda. And now, she sold out. Let somebody else buy the company. She sold her stock. And she could retire. But now she took that money and invested it to do what she's dreamt to do since she was a little girl in her upstairs bedroom, where she would draw and design homes. And that's what she does today. In Lubbock, Texas, she builds $1 million houses. This did not tell me about Carter. The Holy Spirit told me about Carter. Information is a test that you cannot flunk. Use it wisely. Use it the right way. But the most important test of information is going to be how you use it. You use it wisely or you use it foolishly. That's your choice. Thirdly, that's what this gets to. It's the test of wisdom. The test of wisdom. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. Wisdom is necessary. Wisdom is critical. And it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So when you reverence God, that's fear. When you reverence God, He gives you wisdom. Then it says in the New Testament, if any man lack wisdom, mankind lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who will give you liberally. He'll give you liberal wisdom and upbraid you not, meaning He won't belittle you for asking a dumb question like other people will.
Yeah.
Even teachers will do that sometimes. But God will never belittle you, never berate you for asking for wisdom. Lord, I need some wisdom on buying this car, buying this home, going to this school. Lord, I need some wisdom. Which apartment I rent, which house I buy, what I need, which girlfriend, which boyfriend I date. I need wisdom. I thank you, Lord, you show it to me in Jesus' name. I ask you for that wisdom, and I know you'll show it to me. He'll give it to you liberally. I was praying one time. Here I am. I'm 24 years old. I'm serving another men's ministry. I'm working in a Christian school. I'm an athletic director, coach, and administrator of the school. We've got 150, 200 students at times. We're very successful in academics and sports and oratory, and we win all kinds of state and national championships and for Christian schools. This is before TAPS, which is a Texas organization, Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools. It wasn't around then. So we were part of different leagues. We were competing against public schools and different things. We were winning, but I was still unfulfilled. I wasn't married, and yet I could date many people, but I wasn't interested in that. So one day I'm walking down the hall of the school building, and I see the pastor's wife, who was also the controller, meaning the bookkeeper. She'd come in from bank errands and stuff and depositing. And she looked down the hall at me and saw me. And she said, "John George, come here." So I went up there. It's a long hall. I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Sit down a minute." She said, "I've been praying and I kept seeing your face the last 3 weeks. And I didn't know why. So I just kept praying in the Spirit. And when I saw you just now at the end of the hallway, I knew why. And this is why I've been praying over you. And this is what the Lord told me to tell you. From now on, you spend 2 hours every day praying in the Spirit." Here I am, 24 years old, desire to be married, desire to have a wife that's hungering after the things of God. Wouldn't hurt if she was good looking. I'm one of 3 eligible bachelors in our whole church. There aren't that many guys in that age group. Nobody my age. A couple of years older, a couple of years younger. There weren't that many women. Girls at the time. I didn't have 2 hours, successive hours to pray. God knew that. I was busy. Early morning workouts before school, early morning prayer before school started, devotions. Then you go through your school day, afternoon, athletic practices. I'm coaching 4 teams. We didn't have a gym at the time. I happened to drive across town to rent gyms, etc., etc. So I would spend any of my commute time and driving across the gyms and workouts, praying in the Spirit. Lord, I'm going to obey you. I'm praying in the Spirit here. That would have been the end of February. In May, the Lord showed me the face of the woman that's now my wife for the last 39 years. 5 years older. Already has a child, 4 years old. Previously married. Her loser of a husband committed adultery on her and left her with a 1-year-old baby 3 years before. And now God gave her a real man. Me. A man after God's own heart. Not a man that would be disloyal to her. Disloyal to that daughter. You see, not only did I marry Darlene that day, August 8th, 1981, I married Melinda, 4-year-old girl. And she became mine. So I became a dad and a husband. Actually a husband then a dad. Immediately, just like that. Because I loved God and God loved me. And if I would not have married Darlene, I would have missed God a million miles. She has been the love of my life, the challenge of my life. But where there's great conflict, there's great reward. Woo! So we have sparks, but it turns into fire. And that's the way we live. Not at odds, don't misunderstand me. But we're opposites. But together, God put us together. She strengthens my weaknesses. I strengthen her weaknesses. And we become a mighty force for God. All because God give me wisdom for my bride, my wisdom for my future. And not only is she 5 years older, we got to comparing. My birthday is September 3rd. Her birthday is August 12th. She turned 6 before the break off of September 1st, which is most school time frames to start school. I had to wait a whole another year. So not only is she 5 years older, she's 7 grades older. 5 years plus the 2 years, my extra year and her earlier year. Wow. No wonder when we went to her 15th high school reunion in Amarillo that everybody looked so stinking old. They were! Now let me wind this down. I'm over time, I know. This is an extremely dangerous deficiency. Because you can have all the information in the world accessible, but if you don't have wisdom, you're a loser. You're going to bomb out. You're going to crash and burn. Ask Him for wisdom. But here's the biggest thing that attracts wisdom. What attracts wisdom is humility. Humility attracts wisdom. If you think you always know it and you always got the answer, you're in trouble.
Yeah, right.
Humility. Now that's not humiliation. Humility is not seeing yourself badly. It's just not seeing yourself high. In other words, you don't have a high estimation of yourself. You have a high expectation of yourself, being submitted to God, but you don't have a high estimation of yourself. See the difference? Big difference. So humble yourself. Be teachable. Be trainable. Be submitted. Lamentations 3:27. Be submitted. Be disciplined under somebody else's authority. And God will bring you great wisdom, and wisdom attracts increase. Wisdom attracts favor. That little girl that was drawing those houses, designing those houses at 6 and 7 with crayons and art pencils. At the age of 18, was a junior in college. At the age of 18, she ran a property management company of apartments and townhouses all over Lubbock, Texas at 18. Why? Because of these 3 things. Character, information, knowledge, but more importantly, wisdom. When you mix character with wisdom, wow, you will be in high demand. You will be attractive to corporations. Do you know what? Even though she was a junior in college at 18, she did not finish college. But she became a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company in her 30s. And now she builds million-dollar houses without a college degree. So college is not a guarantee of success. A lot of those Antifa thugs are running around with college degrees, with masks on their faces because they're cowards. They've always worn masks. It's not because of COVID-19, darling. They're not in demand. When you submit yourself to the authority of Jesus Christ and you give yourself to Him, You yield your field to Him, He's going to use you. He's going to exalt you. That's what it says in Peter. It said, if you will humble yourself under the mighty hand of God, He will exalt you in due time. He will exalt you. Let Him exalt you. No extra charge for this, but just exactly how many selfies does one need to feel good about themselves? And I'm not just talking about young people. I'm talking about women and men. It's like, it's not hard for me. I got big lips anyway. I don't even need to purse my lips. Just ask my wife. That's why she loves them so much. But anyway, I'll go on before I get R-rated. This is what we're all looking for. Love, acceptance, security. We're born with it. We live with it. We crave it. Those are necessities. We die with it. But many people are never fulfilled with any of the three. So what happens? The devil always has counterfeits. Sex is the cheap counterfeit for love. It's if sex were love, then prostitutes are the most loved people on the planet. They got multiple sex partners all day, all night. Hello?
Yeah.
But they're not loved. They know they're not. Love is agape, authentic love, real love, the God kind of love. It only comes through God. The real kind of love. It fulfills you. Where does it come from? It comes from chasing Him. It comes from passing these tests right here. Acceptance. We want to be accepted. Humans, regardless of your age, we hate rejection. We hate to be rejected. We hate to hear something that somebody said about us, or even if we thought that they said it, or thought that they thought it.
Yeah.
The devil uses that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
They didn't say hi to me tonight. They usually say hi every time. They didn't say hi to me tonight. And we go home and we think about it, and the devil just pounds us with it. They hate you, they hate you, they hate you, they don't like you. You're a loser. He pounds that into you. And then what happens next time you see them? You treat them the same way. And they go home like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's good.
And now you got isolation, separation.
Yeah.
That's how the devil builds a wedge between people. Come on, somebody.
Yeah.
See, we hate rejection because we're looking for security. We want to feel secure in our relationships, our friends. But here's the problem. We're looking for love in all the wrong places, and we're looking for security in all the wrong places. And we find them all in Him.
So good.
In Him.
So good.
And it doesn't matter what somebody else does when you're fulfilled in Him. The third thing, security. We want not only acceptance, but we need security. We need to bank on somebody. So what do? For acceptance, we get a group, we get a gang, we get a covey, we get a whole bunch of people. And we want to be popular because popularity means I'm accepted. Really? I think you can find out in the 6th grade that's not true.
Right.
Because they'll stab you in the back just as much as you're one of us now. You don't have to wait till they rush you for a sorority or a fraternity to figure out. They're not really caring much about you. Caring about what you got and how you make them look. Huh?
Yeah.
So what happens? We morph that into security. In other words, yeah, the crowd may reject us, but I can find my guy, my girl, and they bring me security. Temporarily.
Yeah.
It's rare that it's fulfilling. It's temporary. So, don't look to people to give you that security. Look to Him. And then He'll lead you to the right one that's looking to the right things too. Right? God will move heaven and earth to get you a mate. God can bring them from the back country and the bush country of Australia, the outback of Australia. He can bring them from the Amazon. It doesn't matter. God can move heaven and earth to get you somebody that's chasing Jesus along with you. Don't chase tail, chase Jesus. Girls, don't chase money, don't chase looks, don't chase. You know, looks are subject to change. I mean, they might have a pillow pool in the morning of slobber. Well, that will get old in a hurry. Don't chase them for how they look, because looks change. Mm-hmm. You've seen your parents' before and after pictures. You've seen how they looked in school and how they look now. Okay. And that's why it gags you to even imagine that your parents ever had sex. It's like, that's just an evil thought. But back in the day, they thought each other were hot. Woo! Here's the problem with a lot of young people. They're just in heat. They're not in love. And see, that's not going to fulfill you. So if you'll chase those things, real love, real acceptance, and real security from the Lord, you'll find it in the Word. You'll find it in your prayer relationship. You'll find it in your word development, your meditation of the Word. You'll find it in His presence during praise. Oh my goodness. That fulfillment just comes. That first song we sang tonight, we could just keep singing that, man. Just, His presence. So find that fulfillment in Him, because everything else is disaster.